All right, welcome to the call. Thanks for jumping on today. If you've just joined us, appreciate you taking the time out of your day and getting on the call, or perhaps you're watching the recording. We appreciate you watching the recording. And today we've got some great information to share on the Triangle of Life, which is Sizzle's foundational products. These three products go together really well, and we're going to get into what the Triangle of Life is, and also reminisce a little bit about in the history of the company, or the previous company that the Mowers owned, which was Newways. They had a product range called the Energy Trio. So let me just bring up my slides and we'll get started here. So just bear with me for a second. Okay, so yes, so today we're talking about the Triangle of Life. In the previous company, it used to be called, the Energy Trio. So we're going to touch on that. But before I do, let me just cover the medical disclaimer. So the statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration in this presentation. These ingredients are not designed to diagnose, treat, prevent, or cure any disease or illness. And if you are taking medication or have a pre-existing medical condition or are pregnant, do consult your healthcare provider before taking any supplements. So I wanted to bring this slide up first to start off and kick off with this presentation. Some of you may remember this product range called the Energy Trio. And this was from Tom's previous company called Newways. And it was made up of three really popular products. Just before I go into that, just Ian, if you can just check everyone's on mute, that would be great. So the Energy Trio was made up of three products: Furoxin, Orical, and Revenol. These were really famous products back in the Newways range. They were holistic products, and they were designed to work synergistically together to support general well-being. Furoxin was a colloidal mineral drink. Do you remember Furoxin there, Ian?
I certainly do. It was a brilliant product. At least it was sort of had a very loving name called swamp water, because it was really dark and brown and very rich in all the minerals and colloidal substances that we needed. So
that's right.
It was brilliant, yeah.
And it was from the Alpine Moors, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. There was a place in America they used to mine it or something, and then do what they have to do to make it drinkable. So
yeah, so I think that was the one. I think that came from somewhere in Australia. I think the Salt Lakes used the Maximal Solutions product, which was the Newways products back then.
Yeah. But there was some other ones. I think they had it even in Europe. There was some places in Europe they were looking at.
Yeah,
yeah.
So I bought these products. Obviously, these products are discontinued. They were from the previous company. The company was started by the Mowers back in, was it 89?
Yeah, it goes right back. Yeah,
1989, I think it was.
Yeah.
So they were around for quite some time. So that range no longer exists, and that brand no longer exists as well. But I wanted to bring it up because a lot of people are familiar with these products who used to use them in the past, and I often get the question, what is the comparable products today? So the Mowers formulated these products. They've formulated, obviously, now the Triangle of Life. How does this compare to these products in the past? Well, these, if you were going to do a comparison, the Energy Trio, which is the Furoxin, Orical, and Revenol, would be, all of those ingredients would be combined into the SPECTRA MAXX. So you've got in there your 74 trace minerals in the SPECTRA MAXX. So that sort of covers off the Furoxin. The Orical is a multivitamin and mineral. So you've got minerals and vitamins in the SPECTRA MAXX drink as well. And then Revenol was your antioxidant. Do you want to say anything about the antioxidant Revenol, Ian?
Yeah, I think from memory, we used to take that all the time. I think it was based on a pycnogenol product, which was an anthocyanidin, which is, I think it's derived from pine bark or pine. And it was a brilliant product. They had another one that came with it, which was cascading Revenol.
That's right, cascading.
Added to that. And you'll find, I think, you're talking about SPECTRA MAXXs in these here. The cascading bit was also included in the SPECTRA MAXX now.
Yes. Absolutely. So the
Mm.
SPECTRA MAXX would have like the sort of ingredients that was in Revinol and cascading Revinol combined into the SPECTRA MAXX liquid.
Absolutely, yeah. These two products are definitely SPECTRA MAXX, and probably SPECTRA MAXX has been improved to some degree on other parts of it. So
so when we're talking about the formulation, so fantastic product there. So if you were curious about that kind of thing, and then of course we do go into the triangle of life, which is made up of, which is the Sizzle range, which is SPECTRA MAXX, Eternity, and FUSOYDON. So the Eternity product, again, is your antioxidant drink, but it far exceeds the technology of perhaps the Revinol and the cascading Revinol in a few ways. One is that it has resveratrol in it. It's a resveratrol drink. Resveratrol is a fairly new, relatively, speaking, discovery. And this particular molecule is known to basically acts on the SIRT1 gene, and it helps to reduce or induce ROS detoxifying enzymes that eliminate superoxide. So it plays a central role as a key polyphenol. It's capable of modulating the SIRT1 expression and its main effects, and SIRT1 activation by RSV can produce neural malleability in the hippocampus area. That was a medical reference there. Again, we can't make claims on the product. We can talk about the ingredients and research done on the ingredients. We can't specifically make any claims on our products. But you can go away and do the research on the resveratrol. So I would invite you that if you're listening to this call, jump onto a website called pubmed.gov. And basically, if you type into the search bar resveratrol, you'll see all the studies that come up on this ingredient. And there's literally, probably well over 1,000 studies there on all sorts of health challenges that people have been having and how it can act on that particular ingredient. It's really very, very, very powerful. So Eternity, the product that Sizzle make, is highly concentrated. It would actually take approximately 40 bottles of red wine to get the same amount of resveratrol from 30 mils serving. It's designed to make it through the entire digestive process and deliver its particles into the very cells that utilize them. So each 1/2 or 3/4 ounce serving is the equivalent to about 250 times more available than the encapsulated version of resveratrol. So you can buy resveratrol in encapsulated form. Sizzle's in a liquid form. So what you'll find is if you hold that hold it in your mouth for a minute, increases, I guess, the absorption and also the effectiveness of it by multiple times. It also contains potent chaga, which is how do you pronounce that there, Ian?
Chaga de Berg.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. From grapeseed and green tea and green coffee bean extracts. In addition, it contains a potent antioxidant blend of pomegranate, plum, raspberry concentrates. So really fantastic supplement, and it's definitely one that you want to add to your regime. And this is one of the products in the Triangle of Life range. We've also got there on the page SPECTRA MAXX, which we just touched on briefly, and how it would essentially be a replacement for some of those other products that were previously discussed. So 74 trace minerals in your SPECTRA MAXX. It's got 40 broad spectrum whole food antioxidants, addressing all of the 22 categories of oxidative stress in the body. It's folate enriched. It's a multivitamin as well. So it's got some B complex in there. It's got 400 UI of vitamin D per serving and zinc. And it's just really easy to take. The great thing about these products is they're liquids, and often people become quite overwhelmed with taking too many tablets. Like, there's no way I'll get my mum to swallow any tablets, but if I give her a liquid, I've given her this before, it's easy, right? You can just add it into some orange juice or just drink it as it is. It tastes fantastic. And, it's not like you're swallowing a capsule or anything. So the ease of taking these products is definitely an advantage. The other thing too is that I give these products, all 3, to my dog. Gets 5 mils of each of these products every day, get added into his meat and his vegetables that he eats every day. So these products can really be used with your pets as well. Your cat could even take them as well. And it just has so many great properties with that. Ian, do you want to comment on any of those 2 products before we get into FUSOYDON?
Yeah, sure. I was just going to comment on SPECTRA MAXX, and one of the things that we spoke about before, we were talking about the new age products with the cascading Revinol. This one has the same principle. It has a cascading event, which means that it's able to neutralize free radicals right down to the last one. And so I think there's about 30 or 40 of them. So we get a complete free radical preservation there, or extermination, if you want to call it that way. So
Okay.
phenomenal product.
Great. Okay, now we're going to jump into FUSOYDON. I've actually got a recording from Tom Mauer Jr. I don't think many people have heard it. It's a fantastic recording. It goes for about 21 minutes. So that'll take us to the end of the half hour. And then I will jump back on, and I want to share 3 testimonials with you today on these products, just to demonstrate, the potential power that these products could have for your overall health. So let's now jump into the recording, and let me just bring that up.
None of these statements have been evaluated by the FDA. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases. Hi, this is Thomas. Welcome to the Deets, where we dive into the details of Sizzle's product lineups. Enjoy! Hi everyone, welcome to the Deets, our very first episode where we're going to be diving into the details of FUSOYDON today. So this is our very first time recording this. A little bit of background. For me personally, I've worked my way up through the company all the way from maintenance, where I was pulling weeds and painting rooms, into the call center, where I've spoken to many of our current distributors, and to where I'm now, where I'm running all of operations. And so, coming into this and with the supply chain nowadays, we thought it would be an important task for us to help inform, update, and educate on really what makes our product lineup unique, because they are unique in so many different ways, including the formulation. And so, for our very first episode, we thought it would be important to bring our head formulator, my father, Tom Mauer Jr. So, Dad, you want to give a little bit about your background?
Well, I think you cleared the first part up, and that is, I am your father. And so if things don't go well, you'll be pulling weeds again. But no, it's great to be on here. The inaugural launch of the Deets, getting into the details and getting into the weeds about what makes Sizzle different, and talk a little bit about that. And so obviously I've been around for quite a while, and I worked my way up through the company over many decades, and went to school and earned my degrees in biology and chemistry, and have been very motivated. Everything starts with a passion, and everything that's successful has passionate people behind it. And we see that in the distributor field. We see it in our own family, and we see it out throughout the world. And so it's great to be here today and for your first podcast and talk about some exciting things.
Yeah, and one thing that I've really enjoyed growing up with you is, our long drives. We'd go out of state, we'd work, we'd be up on the family ranch and farm, and your education, and it's one of the things I've looked forward to the most growing up, is just talking to you and gaining your knowledge and getting a lot of your experience and really internalizing a lot of that. And so, with this, I really want to know, and I think a lot of people want to know, really, do you have a process, or what is your process when you come up with a formulation, or research, or what is it that runs through your head, or how do you work it through from a concept to a finished product?
Well, a lot of times it can come from different things, but usually it's based upon a need. And fulfilling needs are where success are found, both in helping people with health issues, helping them with financial issues. And so you find a need, and you identify these things throughout life. I've seen, great products that have not been successful in our company and others because they didn't really fill a need that people are looking for. And then also, you have those in the back of your mind that maybe I won't have the answer tomorrow, and maybe I won't have it next year. And so, but you know that there's a need and a desire out there. And then also is market opportunity. I mean, you'll see studies that come out and you'll see that the market's trending one way or another. And issues become, very focused upon. Obviously, the one we just went through was weight loss. Every year, January 1st, weight loss is a great product. So when I have a process, I'm always open to any idea. All ideas are great. But then I try and fulfill a need in weight loss or hair growth or anti-aging. And so as I come across dynamic science and putting the puzzle pieces together, then I incorporate that into a product, and hopefully the price points and the benefits are there, and the success follows once people become passionate about that product.
Okay, so really quick question, kind of off script. How many formulas or how many products do you think you formulated over 30 some odd years?
Oh, I thought you were going to ask me who's my favorite child. Okay, I didn't want that out there. How many products have I formulated? Well, I can tell you what, thousands over the years. I've had a few hundred that have come to market, but I have had many, many failures. Everything from, separations to stability to not right for the market at the time, but everything from industrial chemicals to animal products to personal care. But one thing about it, even a failure is a learning experience of the flavor wasn't right, the timing wasn't right, it wasn't the right for the right demographic. We find differences in Japan versus America. And so it's all been a learning process, but I've made thousands of products over the years.
I know. We get in the boardroom and you literally make all of our minds explode when you start talking about formulas and ingredients and new research. And it's humbling to be in your presence when you talk about that, Dad, really. I want to talk about probably our biggest success here at Sizzle, which is Fusoydon, spell Fucoydon. If people are doing the research at home and they want to Google the ingredient, it's Fucoidan. That was our own little marketing spin on it. So what can you tell us about Fusoydon? What is it, and where can we find it?
Well, it's found all over the world in brown seaweed. But the very best and the patented product that we have is found only at Sizzle. That's a Sizzle-only formulation. And maybe a real quick rundown on the history of Fusoydon. Going back to the 1980s, my father, Tom Maurer Sr., we were looking at studies. This is before the internet. I mean, we were writing letters, doing phone calls, and he actually went to China. And some of the anti-aging formulations that were thousands of years old described angel hair and how miraculous that was. And they had their own studies on it, but nobody knew what angel hair was. It wasn't up until probably 15, 20 years later, doing more research, we realized that that's what seaweed is, and they were consuming seaweed. And you know how if you look at an underwater camera in the ocean, you see the seaweed growing from the bottom, it's flowing back and forth, and that really came out to be, and there were many different products that we found that had different names that were hard to decipher. But one thing about it, the ancients in China said that people were more productive, people live longer, animals live longer, and they were meticulous in their studies that they did. Well, probably 20 years ago, we started formulating with this product prior to Sizzle to find out more about it, how to make it stable, where's the best source of this material. There's over 40 different types of brown seaweed. And the science was just coming out about what the active molecule in that was. And that is the Fusoydon molecule that is found within the seaweed. Since that time, they've actually broke that down into different types of Fusoydon molecules that have small little differences between each one. And that's the beauty of it. We think about thousands of years ago, it was called angel's hair, and they just knew that people lived longer consuming it, and they had better health consuming it. Well, as things go further down the road and science gets better and we have better techniques and better methodologies, we can identify the exact molecules and what they do. It's like CBD that we launched here a couple of years ago. When I got involved with that, it was CBD. Well, now we know there's over 100 different types of CBD, and we know CBG is great for skin. We know CBN is great for sleep, and we're starting to determine that. Same is true with fucoidan. So going back 20 years ago and, getting all the available science out there and samples, we determined that the one that had the most broad spectrum and the different forms of fucoidan at that time, there were 3, and you'll see those identified as U, F, and G, but now there's about 6 of those. Tonga had the most pristine waters where it was grown, so we're not worried about more contaminants in the ocean, but also it had the biggest variety of those fucoidan molecules where people could see the greatest effects of that.
Huh, yeah. So a lot of people, I've been asked that one, especially when I was in the call center, what does the U, F, and G stand for? And, preparing for this, I did a little bit of research, and it stands for U-fucoidan, F-fucoidan, and G-fucoidan, the different molecules. And so, why? So you explained that they're all important, but what made you think that this was going to be a hit? What really was the true function of this product? Was it longevity? Was it overall health? What was the overall intent of fucoidan?
Well, one thing about Sizzle, we're not just a company that's looking to go public. I mean, our family business is set up in a dynasty trust for 1,000 years. It's to go on. If you're looking for longevity in anything, results are everything. And so with fucoidan, what was the big motivation was what science had shown. They have done demographic studies, populations in Japan that left Japan after the 1940s and moved to South America. They had the same genetics, and they found that those who moved away from the traditional diet consuming brown seaweed did not live as long or experience the same health benefits as their family who stayed in Japan. And as they narrowed that down, they found out that the brown seaweed they were consuming was the culprit, or should we say actually the blessing in disguise that was giving them superior health, because it is adaptogenic. It affects not just one thing in our body, but multiple things. So fucoidan, why we brought that out is because, and I don't believe in silver bullets, one thing does everything. But if there was one thing that did more things to benefit the quality of our health and life, it is fucoidan.
That's interesting. Yeah, and we talk a lot about history and ancients consuming it, but in a lot of ways, especially at our manufacturing, we've really modernized the way that we're able to consume it and extract it. You guys came across some sulfonation studies that they had done. We have a patented process. This isn't just some generic fucoidan that you're going to buy. This is a truly unique formula that only Sizzle is the only one ever going to have it because of our patent. Can you explain a little bit of that manufacturing process and the sulfonation and why that's important?
Well, naturally, sulfur will bind to fucoidan in the ocean. But the problem is it's not consistent. Sometimes it's higher, sometimes it's lower. But as science had determined, the most effective fucoidan molecules had the highest degree of sulfur attached to them. And so, we have modernized the plant. We started from scratch, but also we had to do unique things because we had a patent. It wasn't, the process was not just out there on how to hydrolyze this, how to add sulfur to it to make it very bioavailable. And so we had to spend millions of dollars because we were creating an ingredient just for us. And so by doing so, we obviously came out with a fucoidan molecule that was very diverse, but also highly biologically available. And what you do find is that science is funded by money, and money is given to studies that perform and show results, and you'll see a lot of that. If you really investigate fucoidan, that is where the science is going.
Well, how many studies were there roughly, do you think, when you started on this? Because when I was doing my research, there's over 3,000 studies now and counting. Matter of fact, the most recent one was published 3 days ago on the sulfonation of polysaccharides in brown seaweed. How many studies were there when you started on this? Because it was relatively new, wasn't it?
It was. I mean, yes and no. I mean, it was consumed for thousands of years, and the Chinese actually did the first few studies on that and recorded those thousands of years ago. But when we started over 20 years ago, and it still was impressive, there were a few, maybe 200 or 300 studies. And you compare that with a lot of these super juice products, then that was kind of the thing in the 90s. Everybody needed a juice type product or a liquid product, and you see what type of money's been put into the acais and the mangosteens and the nonis and the trace minerals. They have flattened out, and there's dozens to a few hundred or a couple hundred in some cases. But over the 20 years with fucoidan, I've seen it go from 150, 200 to, like you just say, over 3,000. And the money, the millions of dollars is put into research because fucoidan works. And they want to dissect it and figure out how to make it work better. And that's where the money goes. I've seen it tested for, HIV and immune system and cholesterol and anti-cancer, and they keep pouring the money into it because it has such a dynamic effect on our overall health.
That's interesting. Yeah, I get 100% where they're going with it. They're obviously going to put their money in where they're seeing results and continue research and further it. I consume it every single day, and I consider it the king of juices. But in your eyes, what honestly makes it the king of all juices? Because we've seen a lot of product companies, like you said, come and go, and they all have their juice, but they end up falling flat, or they go public and then doesn't retain really what. The Sizzle's been around for 12 years, and fucoidan has been our constant number one. Matter of fact, I've heard you say it in literally hundreds of meetings. This is such a good product that even if we don't talk about it, we could kill it and it still wouldn't go away, and sales continue to climb every single month in this for the past 12 years. Bigger runs, more fucoidan made, more and more sales, and people are literally building a foundation and building an entire business and an empire on this one juice. So what makes it such a king? What makes it king of the hill of all juices?
Because like we talked about earlier, it fulfills a need, and that people who are desiring better health, they experience that. They've tried the other things out there, and it is not just a juice. It is a solid fucoidan molecule that is suspended in liquid. It's not just squeezing an acai or a noni plant and taking that extract. This is a very active molecule. We put it in liquid. That way it's easier to absorb and breaks down quicker and gets in your digestive system quicker that way. But it outcompetes everything when it comes to results. And fucoidan itself could be its own company. And people would do very well both in health and wealth and financial freedom just with that one product.
Yeah, and we use it in a lot of different ways. When we just barely came out with our Sizzle Thin, and it has fucoxanthin in it, which comes from the same molecule, right?
Well, not the same
Or
molecule,
similar.
same plant,
Same
exactly.
plant.
Brown seaweed, and that's another fraction, and science is going into that now with fucoxanthin to show that it's thermogenic and it actually enhances weight loss. And so that was a missing piece of the puzzle that I needed for our weight loss product for the last few years. And when that came out, that made the perfect complement to make the world's most effective weight loss product, the Sizzle Thin.
Oh, people are going nuts for it, literally. We have a hard time keeping it on the shelf because of its sales. So why do we put it in a juice? Why don't we put it in a powder or a capsule or a cream or some other different delivery method? Surely there's other ways that you can consume it. Why do we choose a juice?
With that one, because it keeps it suspended and it's quicker to absorb in a juice. Some things I would prefer in a solid if I'm trying to get through a digestive system quicker. But that one, because we increase the biological activity with sulfur, it's in a liquid form, and then when we consume it, there's nothing that needs to break down. It can be highly absorbable that way. So,
and we obviously have our triangle of life, right? Our 3 juices. How does Fucoidin fit into that triangle of life with Eternity and SPECTRA MAXX? I mean, it's a totally different, unique product. How does it stand alone? What makes it unique beyond the other 2?
When you're looking for total health, you're looking for products that promote longevity, products that protect, remove free radicals from our system. Some studies show up to 97% of disease is because of free radical damage. And then we're looking for things that promote, not just protect, but also promote longevity and better health. And so within these 3 products, SPECTRA MAXX, you're giving a wide spectrum of over 40 different antioxidants. I mean, we do have acai and mangosteen and some of these things that you see in other juices in that product. And it's a really overbuilt product, but it will neutralize more free radicals than anything else out there. So we take that to nutrify and to protect. Eternity, we have resveratrol in that, and it's in liquid form because it is highly absorbable in the mouth. It's highly metabolized in the liver. So when you see most products out there with resveratrol are in capsule and tablet form, they go to the gut, and they're about, liquid is 300% more bioavailable than solid dose form in resveratrol. And then the Harvard studies, what Dr. Sinclair has shown us with that, with turning on the sirtuin gene that promotes longevity and more youthful hormones and everything. We have that product. And then Fucoidin is adaptogenic. It does many things, and it's overlap in these areas, but it also affects many more organs of our body for total health.
Man, there's so much research being done constantly on it and progressing. It's amazing that we're able to stay ahead of the times, especially since you started this over 20 years ago, this project, and it's been through and through our #1 seller, our #1 product. I just want to end on this and say, I hope everybody listening to this understands how and why I love sitting in the truck, driving all over the Western United States with my dad, because he is so knowledgeable. Tom Jr. is a very knowledgeable person. We're extremely blessed with his experience here at Sizzle. We're extremely blessed to have his mind and formulations and knowledge and power. And you can see why we are gaining so much ground, especially in this industry, and why our products are so revolutionary, because we're not just looking at, we talked about the ingredients, we talked about the research, but we also talked about the different delivery methods and the actual science behind them. There's so many details that go into every single one of our products. And I just want to thank you for coming on to our first episode here. We're going to have so many more. We're going to dive into RIP.
Okay, great. So that was really informative. I hope you really enjoyed that. And I just want to finish off with a few testimonials to share with you, and then we'll close off the call. So here we got some testimonials here. So such a great range of products, the Triangle of Life, using them in combination together. So this was, this is an older testimonial, but it's really a great one. This was from a young girl who was 3 years old. She had been given Fucoidin and SPECTRA MAXX, and really just noticed a big improvement in her eczema. So just some fantastic results there. This is a great testimonial on sarcoidosis, autoimmune. And Jack had some fantastic results, and he was using the SPECTRA MAXX and Fucoidin. Just some phenomenal results there that he had got with that, supporting his body. I think he was using it alongside traditional treatment, but he really found that gave him the extra boost. And then this is the final testimonial I've got for you today. This is from Laurie Johnson. Her mum had been struggling with rheumatoid arthritis. Her hands were not working to the point where she would ask me to make her bed and open bottles for her. She lives alone and prefers to be independent. I asked her to do one thing, and that was to take the Triangle of Life consistently every day. So having gone through chemo and breast cancer twice, she was really having trouble remembering her routines. And She was really excited that she was able to pour her own glass of wine, and she said, look what I can do. So, you know, just great results. These products just make such a difference in people's lives, and they're just so important. We're super passionate about sharing them with others. So hopefully you enjoyed that call today and that was informative for you. You know, share this call with others, share this with other people in your team, other customers, other distributors. Let them know, educate them about the power of these products. I want to thank Ian for jumping on the call and assisting me today, and I hope you have a great weekend.